How does a man survive being left without money for food by the brother he raised like a son? Why did my younger brother think I would beg him when he returned from Ibiza? And what exactly did he read in my fridge that made him start yelling instead of laughing? While you're here, don't forget to subscribe, hit the hype button, and support this channel with a like. And tell us below, have you ever faced something like this? I opened the banking app at 6:47 a.m., standing in my kitchen with the phone screen glowing against the pre-dawn darkness. The balance read $127.83. Yesterday it had been $8,340. My thumb scrolled down through the transaction history. Transfer to Evan Redden, $3,000. Transfer to Evan Redden, $2,500. Transfer to Evan Redden, $2,700. Each one marked with his signature casualness, no explanation, no warning, just gone. I set the phone down on the counter and stared at the empty coffee maker. We were out of coffee, out of milk, out of bread. The fridge hummed behind me, and I already knew what I would find inside: half a jar of pickles, some condiments, and Liora's leftover salad from 3 days ago that neither of us had wanted to eat. "Kian?" Liora's voice drifted from the bedroom. "You coming back to bed?" "Yeah," I called back, though I knew I wouldn't. Sleep felt impossible now. I had raised Evan from the time he was 11 and I was 20. Our parents had been gone for 9 years, a winter accident that left me suddenly responsible for a 6th grader who cried every night for 3 months. I had dropped my college plans, worked double shifts, made sure he had lunches packed, homework checked, clean clothes for school pictures, and now, at 20 years old, he had taken everything I had saved and disappeared to Ibiza. My phone buzzed. A message from him, time-stamped 2 hours ago. "Beach sunrise hits different when you're not stressing about rent, Lowell." Below it, a photo. Evan grinning with a tropical drink in one hand, ocean behind him, sunglasses perched on his head. 3 people I didn't recognize crowded into the frame with him, all laughing. I deleted the message without responding. Maya started crying from her crib. Liora must have heard it too, because I heard her footsteps, soft against the bedroom floor. Our daughter was 2 years old, healthy, bright-eyed, and completely unaware that her father had just become unable to buy her the yogurt she ate every morning. I walked to the grocery store at 8:15 a.m. It was a Tuesday, and the streets were quiet except for delivery trucks and early commuters. The automatic doors slid open, and I grabbed a basket: bread, milk, eggs, yogurt for Maya, carrots because they were cheap, pasta, sauce, nothing extra, nothing that wasn't essential. At the register, I placed everything on the belt and watched the cashier scan each item. The total came to $43.67. I swiped my card, declined. "Can you try it again?" the cashier asked, her tone neutral, but her eyes already calculating how long this would take. I swiped it a second time, declined. The line behind me had grown. 5 people, maybe 6. I felt their attention like a weight pressing against my back. "I'm sorry," I said, and my voice sounded normal, even though my hands felt numb. "I'll come back." I left the basket on the counter and walked out. Nobody said anything. Nobody had to. That night, Liora asked me how bad things really were. We were sitting on the edge of our bed, Maya finally asleep after an hour of fussing. The apartment was dark except for the bathroom light spilling through the cracked door. "Bad," I said. "How bad?" "Evan took everything." Her hand found mine in the darkness. She didn't ask why or how. She knew Evan. She had watched me give him chance after chance, excuse after excuse, money after money. She had warned me gently that he would never stop taking as long as I kept giving. "What are we going to do?" she asked. "I'll handle it," I said. "Properly." She squeezed my hand once, then let go. "Okay." I stayed awake after she fell asleep. The ceiling above me was textured, and I traced the patterns with my eyes while I thought about everything that had led to this moment. Every time I had paid for something Evan needed. Every time I had covered his mistakes. Every time I had believed him when he said he would pay me back. At 2:30 a.m., I got out of bed and walked to the kitchen. I opened the fridge. The light inside was harsh, sterile, revealing exactly how empty our shelves had become. I stood there for a long time, thinking. Then I pulled out a piece of paper from the drawer, found a pen, and started writing. I was 19 when I became Evan's guardian. The service afterward had been modest. Our parents hadn't had many friends, and the relatives who came were gone within a week. Child services wanted to place Evan in foster care. I argued for 3 days straight, showing pay stubs from my part-time warehouse job, promising I could manage, insisting I wouldn't let him be absorbed into the system. They had approved it, reluctantly, with monthly check-ins for the first year. I remembered his first night in our new apartment, a studio that cost everything I had saved. He had refused to sleep in the bed, instead curling up on the floor with his backpack as a pillow. I had lain awake listening to him breathe, wondering if I had made the right choice. Over time, we had found a rhythm. I worked mornings at the warehouse, then evenings doing freelance coding projects I picked up online. Evan went to school, got decent grades, played soccer on weekends. I attended every parent-teacher conference, signed every permission slip, drove him to friends' houses when he asked. When he turned 16, he started asking for money, small amounts at first. 20 here, 30 there. I gave it because I remembered being 16, remembered wanting things that felt important at the time. But the amounts grew. 50, 100, 300 when his phone broke, 500 when he wanted to go on a school trip to Washington. I never said no. I told myself I was being supportive, that he deserved to have the things other kids had. When he turned 18 and graduated high school, he announced he wasn't going to college. Not yet. He wanted to work, figure things out, maybe travel. I had tried to push back gently, suggesting community college, trade school, anything. He had waved me off with that smile of his, the one that said I was worrying too much. 2 years later, he was still figuring things out, still living in an apartment I co-signed for, still asking for money every few weeks, and I had still been saying yes because he was my brother, because I was all he had, because some part of me believed he would eventually grow up. Now I sat on a public bus at 7:35 a.m., heading to a co-working space where I rented a desk twice a week. My laptop bag felt heavier than usual. I had packed everything I might need: documents, backup drives, charging cables. The bus lurched forward, stopping every few blocks to let passengers on and off. My phone buzzed. Another message from Evan. "Cliff diving tomorrow. This place is insane, bro." I turned the screen off. The co-working space was nearly empty when I arrived. I nodded to the receptionist and headed to my usual desk in the back corner. The chair squeaked when I sat down. I opened my laptop and pulled up my banking history, scrolling back 6 months. There it was. Every transfer I had made to Evan's account: rent assistance, emergency car repair, phone bill, groceries when he claimed he was short. None of it had been loans. None of it had come with repayment expectations. I had just given it, over and over, because that's what family did. Except I had a family of my own now, a wife, a daughter. And they were eating pickles for dinner because I had prioritized my brother over them. I opened a new folder on my desktop and labeled it Recovery. Then I started copying files, bank statements, transfer confirmations, text message screenshots where Evan had promised to pay me back and never had. Every piece of evidence that showed exactly how much I had given him, how much he had taken, and how little he had ever returned. An email notification appeared. My project manager checking in about a deadline. I responded quickly, professionally, then got back to work. By noon, I had everything organized. 3 years of financial support documented and time-stamped. I saved the folder to a backup drive and then to a cloud storage account Evan didn't know existed. At 12:30 p.m., I called the bank. First National, how can I help you? I need to speak with someone about account access, I said, specifically regarding joint access I granted to my brother. One moment, please. Hold music played for 90 seconds. Then a man's voice came on the line. This is Mr. Halverson. I understand you have questions about account access. Yes, I said. I need to know what options I have for revoking access. The account is in my name only. He has authorization to transfer funds, but not ownership. I see. Can you verify your identity for me? I answered his security questions. Date of birth. Last four of my social. Mother's maiden name. All right, Mr. Redden. Yes, if the account is solely in your name, you can revoke transfer authorization at any time. Would you like to proceed with that? Not yet, I said. I need to understand something first. If someone transferred money out of my account without my explicit permission for each transfer, what would that be considered? There was a pause. That would depend on the circumstances. If they had authorized access, it might be considered a civil matter. If they exceeded their authorization, it could be something else. What if they transferred amounts that significantly exceeded what was discussed or agreed upon? Another pause, longer this time. Mr. Redden, I think you might benefit from speaking with our legal consultation service. Would you like me to transfer you? Yes, I said. Ms. Calder had a voice that sounded like she had spent 30 years explaining complex legal concepts to people who didn't want to hear them. Calm, patient, completely unmoved by emotion. Let me make sure I understand, she said after I had finished explaining. You granted your brother limited access to your savings account for emergency purposes. He then transferred out over $8,000 without notifying you, using that money for personal vacation expenses. That's correct. And you have documentation of the original access agreement? Text messages where we discussed it. I told him it was for emergencies only. Car trouble, medical expenses, not vacations. Do you have those messages saved? Yes. Good. Keep them. Now, here's what you need to understand. Because you granted him access, this sits in a complicated legal space. It's not outright theft because he had authorization, but it's also not entirely legal because he exceeded the scope of that authorization. I gripped my phone tighter. So, what can I do? You can revoke his access immediately. You can file a civil claim for repayment. You can also report this to the bank as unauthorized use of account access, which may trigger their internal fraud review. But here's what I want you to think about. Do you want your brother arrested, or do you want your money back? The question hit me harder than I expected. I want him to understand what he did. Understanding and consequences are two different things, Mr. Redden. What's your primary goal here? I stared at the co-working space wall in front of me. Someone had hung a motivational poster. Dream big, work hard. It felt absurd. I want him to face consequences, I said. Real ones. Not just me being disappointed, not just a conversation. I want him to feel what I'm feeling right now. Then here's my advice. Revoke access. File a repayment claim. Let the system work. Don't confront him directly until everything is in place. Can you do that? Yes. Do you have evidence of financial hardship caused by his actions? I thought about the declined card at the grocery store, Maya's upcoming doctor appointment that I couldn't afford, the rent payment that would bounce if I wasn't careful. Yes, I said again. Document it. Medical bills, rent notices, anything that shows his actions directly impacted your ability to provide for your family. The stronger your documentation, the stronger your case. We talked for another 15 minutes. She explained timelines, processes, forms I would need to fill out. By the time I hung up, I had a clear path forward. That afternoon, I took Maya to her checkup at the children's clinic. Liora had work, so it was just the two of us. Maya sat in my lap in the waiting room, playing with a toy truck someone had left on the table. She made engine noises, lost in her own world. A nurse called her name. We followed her back to an examination room. The doctor came in, checked Maya's ears, her throat, listened to her heartbeat. Everything looked good, healthy, normal. "Any concerns?" the doctor asked. "No," I said. "She's doing great." "Good. We'll see you in 6 months." At the front desk, they handed me the bill. $140. I stared at it. "We can set up a payment plan if you need one," the receptionist said gently. "That would help," I said. She printed forms. I signed them. Maya tugged on my sleeve, ready to leave. That night, after Maya was asleep, I sat with my laptop at the kitchen table. Liora was reading on the couch, but I could feel her attention on me even though she wasn't looking. I logged into the bank website, found the account access settings, clicked on Evan's name. My cursor hovered over revoke authorization. "Are you doing it?" Liora asked quietly. "Almost." "What's stopping you?" I didn't answer right away. What was stopping me? Some old loyalty? Some memory of 11-year-old Evan crying himself to sleep? Some hope that he would realize what he had done and fix it himself? No. None of that mattered anymore. I clicked the button. A confirmation screen appeared. I clicked again. "Access revoked," I said. Liora nodded. She didn't smile, didn't congratulate me. She just went back to her book, and I was grateful for that. This wasn't a victory. It was just the first step. Over the next 3 days, I filed paperwork. A civil claim for repayment, a formal complaint with the bank's fraud review department, a letter to Evan's landlord noting that I would no longer be covering his rent if he fell short. I didn't tell Evan any of this. He kept sending photos from Ibiza, beach clubs, boat parties, dinners at restaurants that probably cost more than my weekly grocery budget used to. I saved every photo, added them to my evidence folder. On Friday, I received an email from Mr. Halverson. "Your claim has been processed and forwarded to our legal department. They will contact your brother directly within 72 hours. Please note that his account access has been fully revoked as of December 12th. I read the email 3 times. Then I closed my laptop and went to check on Maya. The law office smelled like carpet cleaner and old paper. I sat in a chair that was too soft, waiting for my appointment with Ms. Calder. She had requested an in-person meeting to finalize the documentation. The receptionist offered me coffee. I accepted. It was the first real coffee I had tasted in a week, and I drank it slowly, letting the warmth spread through my chest. Ms. Calder appeared at 2 p.m. exactly. She was shorter than I'd imagined, with gray hair pulled into a tight bun and glasses that sat low on her nose. "Mr. Redden," she said, extending her hand. "Come with me." Her office was small but organized. Files stacked neatly on shelves. A desk clear except for a laptop and a single folder. She gestured for me to sit. "I've reviewed everything you sent," she said, opening the folder. "Bank statements, text messages, transfer records. You've been thorough." "I had time," I said. She smiled slightly. "Most people in your position get angry and impulsive. You got methodical. That's going to help." She spread several papers across the desk. "Here's where we stand. The bank has flagged your brother's transfers as exceeding authorized use. That triggered an internal review. They're treating it as a violation of account access policy." "What does that mean?" "It means they're on your side. They've frozen any future access he might try to claim and flagged his account for repayment collection. If he doesn't respond to their notice within 30 days, they'll escalate." "Escalate how?" "Collections, credit impact, legal action if necessary." I leaned back in my chair. "And the civil claim?" "Filed and served. He'll receive notice by Monday. The claim includes the full amount transferred, $8,200, plus documented financial hardship costs, medical bills, late fee notices, everything." She slid a paper across the desk. "This is the repayment structure we're proposing. Full repayment within 6 months, or a structured plan of $1,300 per month. If he refuses, we proceed to court." I looked at the numbers. They felt surreal, like I was reading about someone else's life. What if he just ignores it? I asked. Then it becomes a judgment. His wages get garnished, his credit gets destroyed, he won't be able to rent an apartment, won't be able to get a loan. The system will make sure he pays one way or another. How long will that take? Months, maybe a year, but it will happen. I signed where she indicated. She witnessed my signature, added her own, then filed everything into a folder that she labeled with my case number. One more thing, she said. When he finds out about this, he's going to contact you. He'll be angry. He'll try to guilt you. He might even threaten you. Do not engage. Refer him to me. Let the system handle it. I understand. Do you? Because the hardest part isn't filing paperwork. It's holding your ground when someone you love tries to manipulate you into backing down. I met her eyes. He left me without food for my daughter. I'm not backing down. She nodded. Good. I left the law office at 3:15 p.m. The sun was out, and the streets were busy with afternoon traffic. I walked slowly, letting everything sink in. When I got home, Liora was feeding Maya dinner. Mashed sweet potato. Maya's face was covered in orange smears, and she grinned when she saw me. How did it go? Liora asked. It's done, I said. Everything's filed. When will he find out? Monday. She nodded, wiping Maya's face with a cloth. Are you ready for that? I don't know, I said honestly. But it doesn't matter, it's already in motion. That weekend I worked. 3 freelance projects that paid enough to cover rent and get us through the next 2 weeks. I coded until my eyes hurt, took breaks only to sleep and eat. Liora brought me coffee and reminded me to stretch. By Sunday night, all 3 projects were finished and submitted. Payment would arrive by Wednesday. I sat on the couch next to Liora, too exhausted to do anything but stare at the ceiling. Maya was already asleep. The apartment was quiet. Do you think he knew? Liora asked suddenly. That he was taking everything? Yes, I said. He knew. Then why did he do it? Because he thought I would always be there to fix it, always be there to catch him. He didn't think there would ever be consequences. And now? Now he's going to find out he was wrong. Monday morning arrived. I woke early, made coffee, checked my email. Nothing yet. No messages from Evan, no calls from the bank. Just silence. Liora got ready for work. I stayed home with Maya. We played with blocks, read picture books. She laughed when I made funny voices for the characters. At 11:47 a.m., my phone rang. Unknown number. I answered. Hello? Mr. Redden, this is First National Bank. We're calling to confirm that notice has been served to Evan Redden regarding case number 4729B. He was notified by email and registered mail this morning. Thank you, I said. The call ended. I set my phone down and waited. 3 hours passed before Evan called. I was washing dishes when my phone started buzzing. His name appeared on the screen. I let it ring. Once, twice, 3 times. Then I dried my hands and answered. Kian, what the hell is this? His voice was sharp, confused. I just got an email from the bank saying my account access was revoked. And something about a legal claim? It's exactly what it says, I replied calmly. What do you mean? Why would you revoke my access? I thought we had an arrangement. We did. Emergency access. You used it to fund a vacation. Silence. Then, come on, man. I was just taking a break. I've been stressed. You took $8,000. I was going to pay you back. When? More silence. I don't have time for this right now, he said finally. I'm still in Ibiza. I'll deal with it when I get home. You'll deal with it now, I said. The bank has already flagged your transfers as unauthorized use. You've been served with a civil repayment claim. If you don't respond within 30 days, they escalate. Escalate? Kian, what did you do? I protected my family. I'm your family. No, I said, and my voice stayed level. You're my brother. My family is my wife and daughter. You made me choose. This is my choice. You're insane. His voice rose. You're going to sue me over money I borrowed? You didn't borrow it. You took it. Without asking, without permission, and you left me unable to feed my child. That's not my fault. It's exactly your fault. He was yelling now. You always do this. You act like you're so perfect, like you never make mistakes. I needed that money. For what? Cliff diving? Beach clubs? How do you… He stopped. Are you stalking my social media? You sent me the photos. Because I wanted to share what I was doing. I didn't think you'd use it against me. I'm not using anything against you. I'm holding you accountable. This is ridiculous. I'm calling you when I get back. We're going to sit down and talk about this like adults. No, I said. You're going to talk to Ms. Calder. She's my legal consultant. Her contact information was in the notice you received. Anything you want to say goes through her. You got a lawyer? Are you serious right now? Completely. He hung up. I stood in my kitchen, phone in hand, feeling nothing. No guilt, no regret. Just a strange kind of calm. Liora came home at 6:30 p.m. I told her about the call. She listened without interrupting. How do you feel? She asked when I finished. Tired, I said. But okay. Good. The next few days were quiet. Evan didn't call again. No messages, no emails. I checked the case status online and saw that he had contacted Ms. Calder's office but hadn't responded to the repayment terms. Wednesday afternoon, payment from my freelance projects hit my account. I bought groceries. Real groceries. Chicken, vegetables, rice, bread, milk, yogurt for Maya, coffee. At the register, my card went through without issue. I carried the bags home feeling lighter than I had in weeks. That night, I opened the fridge to put away the milk. I looked at the shelves, now fully stocked, and thought about the note I had written. It was still in the drawer where I had left it. I pulled it out and read it again. Evan, account access revoked as of 12/12. All funds transferred without authorization are subject to repayment claim filed with First National Bank and Civil Court. Contact Ms. Calder at 555-0147 for terms. Do not contact me directly. Kian. I had planned to leave it in the fridge. A final message waiting for him when he came home. Opened my fridge looking for easy answers or borrowed food, and found nothing but consequences. But now I realized I didn't need to leave it there. Everything was already in motion. The note had been for me, a reminder that I was done enabling him, done sacrificing my family for his convenience. I folded it and put it back in the drawer. Evan's return date was Friday. I knew because he had posted about his flight. Last night in paradise. Back to reality tomorrow. Reality was going to hit harder than he expected. Friday arrived with cold rain. I worked from home, taking calls with clients while Maya played nearby. Liora had taken the day off, and we moved around each other easily, passing Maya between us when one of us needed to focus. At 4:30 p.m., my phone buzzed. Evan. Landed. Heading home. Need to talk to you. I didn't respond. An hour later. Kian, seriously, we need to talk. I turned my phone face down. At 6:15 p.m., my phone rang. I answered. I'm outside your building, Evan said. Let me up. No. Kian, come on. I just want to talk. There's nothing to talk about. Contact Ms. Calder. I'm not talking to some lawyer. You're my brother. And you stole from me. I didn't steal. I borrowed. Then pay it back. Silence. Then, I don't have it. I know. So what am I supposed to do? Read the repayment terms. Follow them. Kian, please. Can't we just work this out between us? No. Why are you being like this? Because you left me unable to buy food for my daughter. Because you took everything I saved. Because you thought I would just accept it and move on. I made a mistake. And now you're going to fix it. I hung up. Liora was standing in the doorway, Maya on her hip. Was that him? Yes. Is he leaving? I don't know. She nodded and took Maya to the bedroom for her bath. I stayed in the living room listening. 20 minutes later, my phone rang again. Not Evan this time. Unknown number. Mr. Redden? This is Ms. Calder. I wanted to inform you that your brother attempted to contact my office this afternoon. He requested a meeting to discuss alternative repayment options. And? I explained that the terms are non-negotiable. He either agrees to the structured repayment plan or faces court proceedings. He became hostile and hung up. What happens next? We wait. He has until December 30th to respond. If he doesn't, we file for judgment. Okay. Mr. Redden, one more thing. He may try to escalate emotionally. Show up at your home, contact your wife, try to go around the system. Do not engage. Call me immediately if he does. Understood. That night, I couldn't sleep. I lay in bed, listening to Liora breathe, thinking about everything that had happened. Part of me expected to feel guilty, to second-guess myself, to wonder if I had gone too far. But I didn't feel any of that. I felt clear, certain. Like I had finally stopped pretending that love and enablement were the same thing. Saturday morning, Evan showed up at my building again. Liora saw him from the window. He's pacing, she said. Looks like he's been there a while. I'm not going down, I said. I know. At 10:00 a.m., my phone rang. Evan. I let it go to voicemail. Kian, I know you're mad, I get it, but this is getting out of hand. You're going to ruin my life over this. My landlord is already asking questions because my rent payment bounced. I can't afford to lose my apartment. Just call me back, please. I deleted the voicemail. At 11:30 a.m., he left. Sunday was quiet. No calls, no messages. I started to think maybe he had finally accepted reality. Monday morning, I received an email from Ms. Calder. Your brother has agreed to meet to discuss terms. Meeting scheduled for December 22nd at 2:00 p.m. You are not required to attend, but you may if you wish. I responded, I'll be there. The meeting was in Ms. Calder's office. I arrived at 1:50 p.m., 10 minutes early. The receptionist offered me water. I accepted and sat in the waiting area, watching the clock. At 1:58 p.m., Evan walked in. He looked tired. His usual confidence had faded, replaced by something harder to name. Frustration, maybe, or fear. He saw me and stopped. You actually came. Miss Calder suggested it. Great. He sat down across from me, leaving an empty chair between us. This is insane. You know that, right? I didn't respond. At 2:00 p.m. exactly, Miss Calder appeared. Gentlemen, follow me. We sat across from her desk. She had papers laid out, organized into neat stacks. Mr. Evan Redden, she began. You're here because you transferred $8,200 from your brother's account without authorization for personal use. The bank has flagged this as a violation of account access policy. Your brother has filed a civil claim for full repayment. Do you understand the situation? Yes, Evan muttered. Do you dispute the amount transferred? No. Do you dispute that the transfers were unauthorized? He hesitated. I thought I had permission. Did your brother give you explicit permission to transfer over $8,000 for a vacation? No, but then the transfers were unauthorized. Do you agree? Evan's jaw tightened. Fine, yes. Good. Here are your options. Option 1. Full repayment of $8,200 within 30 days. Option 2. Structured repayment plan of $1,367 per month for 6 months. Option 3. Refuse both, and we proceed to court where a judgment will be entered against you. Which option do you choose? I don't have $8,000, Evan said. Then option 1 is not viable. Do you have income? I work part-time at a warehouse. How much per month? Around $2,000. Then option 2 is not viable either. Your rent alone is likely more than half that. Evan glared at me. See? This is impossible. You're setting me up to fail. No, Ms. Calder said calmly. You set yourself up to fail when you spent money that wasn't yours. Now you're facing consequences. Mr. Redden, would you consider a modified plan? I looked at Evan. He looked cornered, desperate. What's the modification? I asked. $600 per month for 12 months, with a final balloon payment of $1,100 at the end. It extends the timeline, but it's more realistic given his income. Evan leaned forward. I can do that. 600 I can manage. With conditions, I said. He froze. What conditions? You don't contact me outside of this process. You don't ask for money. You don't show up at my apartment. You make every payment on time. If you miss one payment, the entire balance becomes due immediately. That's insane. Those are the terms, Ms. Calder said. Accept them or go to court. Evan stared at me. I stared back. For the first time in years, I didn't look away first. Fine, he said finally. I'll do it. Ms. Calder slid papers across the desk. Sign here, and here, initial here. Evan signed. His hand shook slightly. When it was done, Ms. Calder collected the papers and filed them. First payment is due January 15th. Instructions for payment will be sent to your email. This meeting is concluded. Evan stood. So did I. We walked out of the office together, neither of us speaking. The elevator ride down was silent. Outside, he turned to me. I hope you're happy. I'm not happy, I said. I'm just done. Done with what? Raising you. He flinched. For a moment, I thought he might say something else. Apologize, maybe. Acknowledge what he had done. But he just turned and walked away. I watched him go, then headed home. Christmas came and went quietly. Leora's parents visited for 2 days. We cooked dinner, exchanged small gifts. Maya tore through wrapping paper with pure joy. Nobody mentioned Evan. On December 30th, I received confirmation from Ms. Calder that the repayment agreement had been finalized and filed with the court. Evan had until January 15th to make his first payment. January arrived cold and gray. I worked. Liora worked. Maya grew taller, started speaking in longer sentences, demanded pancakes every morning. On January 10th, Evan texted me. Can we talk? I didn't respond. On January 14th, the day before his payment was due, he called. I answered on the third ring. What? I just wanted to let you know I'm making the payment tomorrow. Okay. I also wanted to say, I get it now, what you were trying to teach me. This isn't about teaching you anything, it's about consequences. I know, that's what I mean, I get it. I didn't respond. Anyway, he continued, I'll make the payment, on time, every month. Good. He hung up. The next day, I received notification from Ms. Calder. First payment received, $600, on time. I told Liora. She nodded, but didn't celebrate. We both knew this was just the beginning. February, March, April. Each month, the notification came. Payment received, on time. By May, I had started to believe maybe he would actually follow through. Maybe the system had worked. Maybe consequences had finally broken through whatever wall of entitlement he had built around himself. Then June came, and everything changed. On June 3rd, I received an email from Ms. Calder. Payment for June has not been received. Per the agreement terms, Mr. Evan Redden has 5 business days to remit payment before the full balance becomes due. I will attempt to contact him. I called her immediately. Ms. Calder, what happens if he doesn't pay? Then we proceed as outlined in the agreement. The full remaining balance becomes due immediately. If he doesn't pay that, we go to court for a judgment. How much is the remaining balance? $4,300. He won't have that. No, he probably won't. Which means court, which means garnishment, which means his life becomes significantly more complicated. Good. She paused. Mr. Redden, I need to ask. Are you prepared for what comes next? Because once we go to court, there's no going back. His credit will be destroyed. His wages will be garnished. He'll carry this for years. He earned it. I understand. I just wanted to make sure you're certain. I am. All right. I'll proceed. 5 business days passed. No payment. On June 10th, Ms. Calder filed for full repayment. The court date was set for July 8th. I didn't tell Evan. He would get the notice. He would know. June 12th he called. I didn't answer. He called again and again. 12 calls in 2 hours. Finally I answered. Kian, you can't do this. His voice was ragged, panicked. You're going to ruin everything. You ruined it yourself. I missed 1 payment. 1. Things have been tight. I just needed a little more time. You had 5 days. That's not enough. It's what the agreement said. You signed it. Come on, man, please, just give me 2 more weeks. I'll catch up, I promise. No. Why are you doing this? Because you proved you haven't changed. 5 months of payments, and the moment it got hard, you bailed. I didn't bail. I just needed more time. Then you should have planned better, saved better, acted like an adult. Silence. I thought you loved me, he said quietly. I do. That's why I'm holding you accountable. This isn't love. This is revenge. Maybe it's both. I hung up. The court date approached. I took the day off work. Liora stayed home with Maya. I dressed in my only suit and took the bus downtown. The courthouse was old, with marble floors and high ceilings. I found the correct courtroom and sat in the back row. Ms. Calder arrived at 8:45 a.m. We reviewed the case briefly. Is he coming? I asked. Unknown. He hasn't responded to any communications since June 10th. At 9 a.m. the judge entered. We stood. The clerk called our case. Redden versus Redden. Civil repayment claim. Ms. Calder stepped forward. I stayed seated. Your Honor, we're here because the defendant failed to meet the terms of a court-approved repayment agreement. 5 payments were made on time. The 6th payment was not. Per the agreement, the full remaining balance is now due. The judge looked at her papers. And the defendant is not present? No, Your Honor. Has he been properly notified? Yes, Your Honor. Certified mail, confirmed receipt. The judge nodded. And the amount owed? $4,300, Your Honor. Any disputes to the amount? None filed, Your Honor. The judge made a note. Judgment entered for the plaintiff. Full amount due within 30 days. If not paid, wage garnishment authorized. Next case. It was over in less than 5 minutes. Ms. Calder and I walked out together. What happens now? I asked. He has 30 days to pay. If he doesn't, his employer receives a garnishment order. 25% of his wages will be deducted automatically until the balance is paid. How long will that take? At his current income? Roughly 9 months. 9 months of watching his paychecks shrink. 9 months of struggling to afford rent. 9 months of facing exactly what I had faced when he took everything. Thank you, I said. You're welcome. I'll send you the final paperwork. I took the bus home. Liora was feeding Maya lunch when I walked in. How did it go? She asked. Judgment entered? Garnishment authorized? She nodded. Good. I sat down at the table and watched Maya eat. She grinned at me, tomato sauce on her chin. Dada, she said. Want some? Sure, sweetheart. She offered me a piece of her sandwich. I took it and pretended to eat. She laughed. Later that evening, after Maya was asleep, I sat on the couch with Liora. The apartment was quiet, except for the hum of the refrigerator. Do you feel better? She asked. I don't know if better is the right word. Then what is? I thought about it. Finished. She took my hand. We sat there in the silence, and for the first time in months, I felt like I could breathe. July passed into August. I received confirmation that Evan's wages had been garnished. 25% of each paycheck redirected to repayment. Ms. Calder sent monthly updates, balance decreasing slowly but steadily. I didn't hear from Evan directly. No calls, no messages, nothing. In September, Liora got a promotion. We celebrated with dinner at a restaurant we couldn't have afforded 6 months ago. Maya sat in a high chair, throwing crackers and laughing. In October, Maya turned 3. We had a small party, balloons, cake, her favorite cartoons playing in the background. In November, I received an email from Ms. Calder. Repayment complete as of November 18th. Final garnishment processed. Case closed. I read it twice, then I forwarded it to Liora. She responded, "It's really over?" "It's really over." That night, I opened my laptop and looked at my bank account. The balance was healthy, not rich, not extravagant, but stable, secure, enough to take care of my family without fear. I closed the laptop and walked to Maya's room. She was asleep, hugging a stuffed elephant. I watched her breathe for a moment, then went back to the living room. Liora was reading. I sat next to her. "Do you think he learned anything?" she asked without looking up. "I don't know. Maybe. Maybe not. Does it matter?" "No," I said. "Not anymore." She put her book down and leaned against me. We sat there together, the weight of everything finally lifting. In December, almost exactly 1 year after everything started, I saw Evan. It wasn't planned. I was at the grocery store with Maya, pushing a cart through the produce section. He was near the bananas, looking thinner than I remembered, tired. Our eyes met. For a long moment, neither of us moved. Then he nodded once. Not a greeting, not an apology, just acknowledgement. I nodded back. He turned and walked away. I finished shopping, paid without any issues, and took Maya home. That evening, I opened the drawer where I had kept the note. It was still there, folded and forgotten. I unfolded it and read it one last time. Evan. Account access revoked as of 12/12. All funds transferred without authorization are subject to repayment claim filed with First National Bank and Civil Court. Contact Ms. Calder at 555-0147 for terms. Do not contact me directly. Kian. I had never left it in the fridge, never delivered it, but it had done its job anyway. It had been the moment I decided to stop being his safety net and start being his consequence. I tore the note into small pieces and threw it away. Liora came into the kitchen. "What was that?" "Something I don't need anymore." She smiled. Not big, not dramatic, just a small, knowing smile that said she understood. That night, I lay awake thinking about everything: the grocery store, the declined card, the empty fridge, the fear, the humiliation, and then the decision, the note, the system I set in motion, the consequences that followed. I thought about responsibility versus entitlement, about how raising someone doesn't mean paying for their mistakes forever, about how love sometimes means stepping back and letting someone face the results of their own choices. I pictured Evan in the grocery store, tired, defeated, but still standing. Maybe he had learned something. Maybe he hadn't. Either way, it was no longer my responsibility. I had done what I needed to do. I'd protected my family, held my ground, refused to keep giving without consequence. I closed my eyes and fell asleep, feeling something I hadn't felt in a long time. Peace.